Hello, good evening, and welcome to the 31st round of the Teamwork Racing 2020 Championship. We've got the FO8 at Westhill International Reverse tonight, and I'm joined in the commentary box by Thilo Falkenberg and Jack Eyre. Good evening, gents.
Good evening, everybody out there.
Hello there. Hope you're all well on this wonderful Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, it's a bit wet where I am, but it's perfectly dry at Westhill for 20 minutes of qualifying and two 13-lap races in the Formula V8. It's going to be a good one. We've got a great turnout tonight. Good to see so many people here with us for what is set to be a very interesting evening of racing. We're about 1 minute away from qualifying. Thilo, tell us about Western International.
So Westhill International is maybe the track that got the biggest update recently, with a whole new layout, which is still relatively close to the old one, but the track got longer, and also it now features some modernized, escape roads, etc. As qualifying just started and the cars are leaving the pit lane. So one important thing right away, we're on the reversed version of the track, which in turn also means that the drivers have less room for mistakes. The track is usually not designed to be run in that direction, although it is a regular variation of the track in Live for Speed. You can see this by all the escape pockets that are facing the wrong direction. So it might happen that when you are losing the car and go off track, you hit one of the barriers in a very nasty angle. And this should be fine throughout most of the track, but especially now here in the last sector where the cars are now slowly preparing to start their hot lap. The track width is rather narrow, and also the distance to the outside retaining barrier is quite short. And the cars are also going through the corners very fast as Mega goes around the final corner to start the first flying lap of the day.
Yeah, like I said before, great turnout tonight, and all the cars currently exiting the last corner of the lap before they start their flyer.
Currently 30 cars are on the track, so we can expect 30 to 32 competitors today. I've said in previous streams that I really like the FO8. It's one of my favorite cars in Live for Speed, although I'm really not anywhere near mastering it.
It's a really hard car to master, especially around here when you've got such different styles of corners. The chicane that the drivers on the screen are going through right now, especially, very tricky braking zone. Then you've got to feed the car at slow speed, which it doesn't like, and then you've got to get it back on the power for the final sector. And a lot of the drivers won't be used to driving Western International in this direction, because of course we normally use it the other way round. Should start to see the first times arriving on the board. Mega, in fact, is our first time.
Yeah, first time a 140.04, but he is already beaten by Pedro with a 138.5. which seems to be the provisional pole position for the first run these drivers are going around this track today. Yes Motorsports fast now into second with a gap of 1.5 tenths.
Maunakasa rejoining us for his second outing in the championship. If you remember back to last week, he absolutely destroyed everybody in race 1 and managed to get up to P3 in the second race after fighting his way through. I think he was pointing backwards at one point in race 2, or very nearly, and still managed to get through to the podium.
Yeah, and I think given another lap, he would have taken the checkered flag as well in race 2 last time around. He just got up to the back of the leading pair as the checkered flag dropped.
Yeah, Maunakasa is somewhat of an open wheel specialist in Live for Speed, more the Fox, but he showed last week that it doesn't really matter what car you put him in. He is fast, so let's see what he can do today. He's currently 15th in the FO8, some 4.5 seconds off the pole position time. Currently set by Road Appraiser's Pedro, the number 1 car.
By the way, I need to correct you. It's Maunakasa's third outing already this season. Not as frequently as others, but he raced at Rockingham 9 earlier this season. As well as last Tuesday.
Last week, yeah. No, I didn't remember the Rockingham one, my apologies, but yeah, good to see him here. And let's see how far up the grid he can get. He's already down to 16th place, but yeah, I expect this next lap that he does to be an improvement on that. As we see Pedro going onto a flying lap, but getting all sorts of out of shape through the first corner. He's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him as well, which won't help. Yeah, and there we go, contact with that driver. Yes Motorsports fast, someone else we haven't seen for quite a while, as well as TC Racing's Adam. These guys making a return and slotting themselves up into the top positions as Jaban goes ahead and sets the provisional pole time at 1:38.4. 10th ahead of Pedro. And the field spread by around about 7 seconds, so a huge gap right now, but yeah, that gap will come down because we've got a 20-minute qualifying session, 13 minutes remain. Still plenty of time for people to get themselves in a solid lap.
Yeah, and speaking of fast, he already proved this season to be fast, winning the first races in round 1, 3 and 4. Also scoring fastest lap and qualifying in pole position, so he got maximum points in those 3 races. Let's see if he can repeat this after returning from the summer break.
Maunakasa improves to P4. We've got a whole flurry of cars coming through. Yes Unite up to P6, pushes Adam down to P7. Road Appraiser Sick is slotted in there as well, so a good showing from the Road Appraiser guys. Sabot currently down in P12. 28 times on the board. Still a few drivers yet to set a lap. As Pedro goes on to a hot lap. Do one of you two feel like taking us around a lap with Pedro?
Yeah, sure.
Very narrow there, taking all of the AstroTurf into the right-hander, uphill, slowest corner. Now he's coming up to the fast chicane, right, left, right. Each and every corner slightly slower. A little bit of oversteer. Now climbing up the hill again, fast left-hander, shifting one gear down. Slight lift, now the right-hander should go full throttle. Yes, indeed, 5th gear, 230. He's topping out over the crest, now into the penultimate corner. Lifting and going
that's
wide
too
here.
wide. Oh, yeah, and that's one of the downsides of this configuration is that the escape roads are not optimized. So, yeah, ouch.
Yeah, I think I remember practicing for this track during my City League attempt. I think it was the very final season of City League, and we were in the FOX. And I did the exact same thing, and through that little escape route, it threw me into the barrier, and my car turned into Spider-Man. I ended up clinging to the barrier and had to pit. Luckily, it was practice, though.
Halfway through the qualifying session, here are Japan in provisional pole, 1/10 in front of Rotor Praise's Pedro, and Yes Motorsports fast in 3rd position. "28 cars currently on the board. So some drivers still have to set a lap.
And look at Yes Motorsports fast, just taken pole position by 2.5 tenths with a 1 minute 38.15, pushing Japan down at least to the furthest to the right on the front row at least. Japan actually just started a lap. He's making his way into turn 3 now. And right on board with him once more. Approaching the right-hander of turn number 7 now. Trying to clip that apex, but not enough to unsettle the car. It's quite a high curb there on the inside of turn 7. And you've got this pretty long straight now through split number 1, 43.67 second split time so far. Slight bit of a lift into turn 8 before you get the car in a straight line to brake for turn 9. And then again using a lot of the curb on the outside of 10, and you watch for the curb usage here just before the left-hander of 11, trying to get the majority if not all of the car onto that bit of curb on the right hand side of the track before you turn in. And it's all about carrying speed, of course, with the cars like the FOX and the FO8 and any car that's reliant on downforce. It's all about momentum, because of course the car wants to stick to the floor, but again the amount of drag that you have means that if you any excess speed that you scrub off, it's just going to be harder for the car to gain it back, so to speak. About 250 kilometers an hour on the exit of turn 14 now, and across the line it's a 1 minute 38.08, so that puts him in pole position. That was enough for the Team Rock Racing driver to claim back pole position. Manakasa, meanwhile, he's just leaving the pits. He's in P4 at the moment with a 1 minute 38.71. He's going to need to improve just over 2 tenths to find himself any more positions, and arguably more than half a second, of course, to find himself on any other row than the second row currently.
Yeah, he's got 6 tenths to find, but if anyone can do it, it's him. Gabor's slotted up into P6 just ahead of his teammate Unite. Gabor's had an on and off last few rounds, hasn't he? He's not been as resident at the top of the timing screens as we used to see him at the beginning of the year. So maybe he wants to put his foot down and try and get back up there.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how many participants in this race, at least all 31 drivers that have set time so far, how many of those guys have put practice in before today. before the little practice session that we have, of course, before qualifying commences, in which there were 30 times posted.
Yeah, looking at the times, they are quite stretched out. Japan currently in first, the 138.08. Rocky 7 Up currently in 31st with a 146.44. So about 8.4 seconds between first and last in qualifying currently.
Yeah, and 31 times now on the board. That's the highest turnout we've had for quite a while. Great to see such a large grid once again. It will make the reverse grid race all the more exciting.
I'm actually curious if Japan can potentially get into the 37s. He's got less than a tenth to improve if he's able to break into the 37s, but again, that would just show the contrast of well, the difference in times really between the midfield and the guys at the front, because the most popular times are the 39s and the 40s is obviously from 6th down to 25th is 39s and 40s. Not many people able to break into the 38s, and again, the ones that have, like Road Appraiser 6 for example in P5, they're quite high 38s, and Japan's on the brink of a 37, you know, 6.5 tenths faster.
Let's see if anyone can manage it. They'll probably manage around 2 laps now if they leave the pits.
They also have to be lucky to get a clean track in front of them.
Yeah, Sick just starting a lap then. He's got 7 tenths to find. His teammate is only 0.28 ahead of him.
Manakasa does indeed improve up to 3rd position with a 1 minute 38.32. So again, staying on row 2, but arguably in the better position now.
Sick heads onto the back straight under the Westhill bridge. See about his chicane.
Ooh, taking a lot of curb through the left-hander of turn 9, but the front end just didn't want to listen to his steering inputs through the right-hander of 10. He caught quite a bit of understeer there. Hopefully it didn't slow him down too much. He looks to be, of course, back on point as we navigate through the left-hander of turn 11 and the right-hander of 12 now. Let's see what the split time is just in a second. A 1 minute 16.02. Very committed through the right-hander, but again, just about a few centimetres to the left-hand side is just enough to, of course, grab the grass. And with the slick tyres, you basically are a passenger at that point.
Suffered the same fate as his teammate then on his quick lap. He'll have one more attempt, but that will be it. Fast, currently on P2.
Moves up into 7th position, but Japan is on a fast lap too, so he's not finished. He wants a 37.
Well, yeah, he's not got that much of a gap too fast behind him, so you might want to... Well, he probably thinks that he can improve, and why not? It's a 20-minute session. It's all practice at the end of the day. Let's see what he can manage at the end of this lap with his bright green rims.
Well, it looked incredibly tidy through the chicane complex of turns 8, 9 and 10 there, using again the majority of the curb on the outside of turn 10. All of the curb on the right hand side on entry, but again just running a little wide on the exit of turn 11 there, the left-hander. Didn't hinder him too much, but he did pick up the grass ever so slightly. Again though, this looks pretty fast. Again, 6 tenths faster than the last split 2 that we saw on stream, a 116. This was a 115.43 from the man in pole position, so it looks like he's doing everything right in order to improve.
He obviously thinks it's going to be an improvement, and it is.
And it is, only just though, a couple hundredths. Puts him exactly 1 tenth ahead of P2 at the moment. Now he is safe.
Yeah, it wasn't quite in the 37s, but it was a good attempt. He's a tenth ahead of Fast, and with 1 minute remaining now on the clock, is it going to be enough? Let's see where Fast is on the track. He's not on the track, so Fast will not improve. Maunakasa, however, is on a lap, and he only has to find 0.27 of a second in order to get that pole position time. It's quite a lot, but let's see if Maunakasa can manage it on his final attempt.
Ronnie, meanwhile, improves into 9th, but is directly overtaken by Ayub.
Yeah, very close on times there, 200ths separating the Born to Race and Race Green Autosports drivers. Maunakasa has a little bit of traffic here. There's a car off on the left. Hopefully it stays on the grass. It does. We've seen a lot of drivers come a cropper with this right-hander.
Maunakasa again now pushed down to P4, middle sector of a 1 minute 15.92. Still around about just shy of half a second slower than the man on pole position, but again...
Yeah, it won't be an improvement then.
A 1 minute 38.38, just 6/100th of a second slower than his fastest. He remains in P number 4.
Japan takes pole position then, unless anybody else is still on the lap. I think Rick Cardle might be the last car to come across the line. He's well off the pace today. Not sure why he's so far down. I mean, Rick Cardle's normally one that we see performing quite well in qualifying. Team Soini will be the last car across the line.
I'm not sure if Soini's going to complete this lap, though. I just looked at him and grabbed the grass out of turn 7 right at the start of the very long back straight that we have here at Westhill International.
Yeah, but then again, he's currently down in 26th position, so he might want to improve his starting position from here.
Final corner for Rick Cardle. Needs a tight line to the finish. Can he improve? Only just, but doesn't actually move any positions.
So around the final bend, and
Timo Soini 141.3 to beat. 142 point whatever that was. Unfortunately, he spectated, but it wasn't an improvement. World class line Soini stays in P26.
Team Rock Racing's Japan is in pole position, followed by Yes Motorsports Fast. In the second row, Pedro and Manu Casa. Third row is Yes Motorsports Gabor with Roller Placer Sick. Eighth row completely in the hands of Yes Motorsports with Trespasser and Unite. In the fifth row, Ayub starts ahead in his Born to Race car from Race Green Autosports Ronnie Krampus. In 11th position, TC Racing's Adam in his return to the series, followed by Sidus Motorsports Rick Cardle. In 13th position, Born to Race is Scattle, followed by Master Race Cars Mega. 15th, Born to Race Eyre, in front of Gavin Pete for Team Rock Racing. They are followed by Roda Praisers Zabot, World Class Lines Pekka Koivunen, Race Green Autosports Redbot, and Master Race Cars Michael. In 21st position, it's Silverstone, followed by World Class Lines Jari Katia, Team Rock Racing row 12 with Texas in front of Frank. In 25th position, it's Chris McElroy, followed by World Class Lines Timo Soini. Red Devil Racing Sky in 27th. Master Race Cars King in 28th. 29th position, it's Neville followed by Fakusp. Rocky 7 up in 31st, and without a time, but on the server, it's Yoni Katia, who probably is going to start the race in 32nd position.
That would be great, a 32 car start. Thank you for running down the order, Thilo. Yeah, so Jaban and Fast, that's going to be a great front row. Hopefully they can get cleanly through turn number 1. Pedro and Manacasa on row 2, that should be a fun one to watch. Yeah, we're going to take a short break. 2.5 minutes remaining before the start of qualifying, so don't go anywhere, it's going to be exciting. Hello and welcome back to the start of race number 1 here for round 31 of the Team Racing 2020 Championship. Jaban on pole position with Yes Motorsports Fast next to him. 2 lights, 3 lights, and we're green as the 32 car field make their way down to turn number 1. All the cars away, looking clean and fast immediately in the slipstream of Jaban then as we head into turn number 1. Jaban just able to cover Fast off. Looks like everybody made it round turn number 1. We've got a bit of a crash in the background.
There's a bit of a crash in the background. Yeah, that's Master Race Cars Mega. Gavin Pete involved in that as well. Few joining the spectators, trying to get a fresh car really quick whilst the field is still making their way into the end of the first sector, at least. Now approaching turn number 7. Jaban leads from Pedro from Yes Motorsports Fast, and Manacasa right on the back of that number 73 machine.
Someone who really could profit from this whole schlamassel was Yoni Katia, who is now up in 21st, gaining 11 positions in the starting situation.
2 of the Yes Motorsport drivers off on the grass there at the chicane. Everyone under control so far. Manacasa still sticking with this lead pack. He's currently hassling Fast to drop down from the front row of the grid, succumb to Pedro.
And the Born to Race guys all getting friendly in 11th, 12th and 13th. They were 3 wide almost, as we're still 2 wide with Eyre and Ayub looking into turn number 13. Eyre around the outside of his teammate there.
One lap down of 13. Japan leads from Pedro.
Oh, and Frank's right into the back of Jari Katila there. Both off into the grass and the outside of turn 14. That did not look friendly. Frank probably getting confused in which pedal is the brake.
Fast retired from the race.
That's weird. Could be maybe a setup mishap on the grid potentially, or some other issue that promotes Manakasa to 3rd place, and everyone else up 1 position also. Joni Katila solidly inside the top 20 now. He's in P17 after starting at the back thanks to the first lap dramas. Lots of drivers here suffering with quite a lot of damage after that start. But glad to say that the majority have decided to continue on.
That was Yes Motorsports Unite in P5, right all over the back of the Road Appraiser, number 86 machine in 4th position. But meanwhile, just behind these two, you can see the car in the background there, TC Racing's Adam Brown, trying to get in on the action. Currently in P number 6, again less than a second away from P number 4, of course, the Road Appraiser driver at the front of this little trio. Massive commitment there from TC Racing's Adam into turn number 13. I didn't think he was going to get that slowed down, but again he has the run through turn 14 now, trying to use the momentum and the draft to catch up to the back of the number 87 car. I don't think he's close enough to make the move before the braking zone. Of course, things could change if Yes Motorsport Unite brakes a little bit earlier.
Yeah, no such move on there. The gap was just too big. But talking of gaps, the gap between the 2 Yes Motorsports drivers behind these guys has come down somewhat. Gabor trying to get past his teammate Trespasser.
Yeah, they were even side by side in turn 1, but oh!
Yeah, Gabor taking a fair chunk of the tyres out at the first chicane. Let's see if he can get a good exit onto the back straight. Trespasser very...
Yeah, this opened up an opportunity for Ronnie to maybe sneak by if something happens in their battle.
Yeah, I just noticed that Gabor's using his Sidus helmet while driving for Yes Motorsport. And the Sidus driver Rick Cardle is up ahead of these guys.
A very colourful combination of teamwear and other teamwear.
Yeah, why not? Side by side, Gabor trying it round the outside. Yeah, that was a good overtake there. Round the outside into the 3rd to last corner there for Gabor. And he's already opened up quite a bit of a gap. Looks like Adam had another good run out of the final corner, but not enough to close down on Unite. Those of you who are Nico Patola fans will be glad to know he has a new wheel. He's finally ditched the Sidewinder. Let's see if it does him any good. As TC Racing's Adam Brown is closing in on him.
Yeah, the gap at the line between these two was about 0.4 of a second. We'll know exactly where that is in the middle of the straight coming up after the next right-hander. But who's that off? Just in front.
Michael.
I believe that's a car. That's a lap down at least. But again, it's all about the traction out of turn number 7. The track sort of rises up. It almost peaks where the apex is. And you don't want to hit that curb on the right too hard, as it can lift, well, at least the front right and potentially the rear right as well. And that's not great when you want to get onto the power.
Pedro currently leading this race with the fastest lap. He managed to get past Jaban at some point, and Manakasa is closing up on Jaban definitely. Road Appraiser's sick in P4, and yes, Unite under pressure still from Adam. Rick Cardle currently down in P7. He'll be wanting to stay ahead of his... I guess he's a teammate, just not in this series, Gabor. Adam's
So you can just
closed in.
see, look at the run that Adam's got. Yes Motorsport Unite was slightly wide on the apex of the penultimate corner, turn 13, and Adam just carried the momentum through 14, had the draft in a straight line, of course, across the start finish, and they get very close to Yes Motorsports Unite. Just a little bit early, and a bit too eager on the power out of turn number 2 there. The double apex right-hander spins him around. He drops just behind Rick Cardle now, sits in P number 7.
Yeah, new wheel makes the car feel very different, probably. Oh, there's the car in the beach.
Yeah, it's Road Appraiser's
Yeah,
Sabot.
left car.
Not having a great day today. Qualified okay, but yeah.
Oh, Unite letting Gabor past as he loses the car, exiting the uphill right-hander.
Maybe he should have stuck with his old wheel, not having fun today then. As Michael has let through yet more traffic.
Oh, Ronnie, now two LFS kart legends facing off with each other.
Yeah, Ronnie no stranger to the FO8, as you say.
Yeah, LFS kart champion and also running the V8 Racing League every fall. Unite, on the other hand, won a Kyoto 500, so also no stranger to the FO8.
Adam's dropped the car from P5, spinning on the outside of turn 13 now. He's got to be careful where he rejoins because he's going to be right on the racing line.
That was well controlled though, to keep the car on the gravel. On
Luckily,
the grass, sorry.
Only to pick up some front wing damage there as there is contact.
Yeah, Adam joined perfectly safely there, but Michael just not really reacting to the that as well as he probably should have. Oh well. Anyway, Adam's been passed now then by Trespasser, so that's going to turn into a spicy battle, I'm sure. Unless Adam's got too much damage. I think unless he was in the draft, I don't know. But he spun again on the exit of the first corner and has to wait yet again to rejoin.
So Manakasa now on a bit of a mission. He's closing right up to the back of Team Rock Racing's Jaban in P number 2. Manakasa last time around about 4/10 faster than the man in P2. And of course Pedro out in the lead for Road Appraiser's got a 2-second gap over P number 2 at the moment. So again, Manakasa potentially looking to get an extra step up on that podium.
Sure he is. Some great talent at the front of this field. I'm sure we're going to be in for an exciting end. Just depends how close Manakasa can get to the rear wing of Jaban out of the final corner, because that's the best overtaking place that you have. And it looks like we've lost Ronnie from P8. It would have been. He was just ahead of all the Born to Race drivers and just behind the Yes Motorsport battle. That's a shame for the FO8 veteran. Manakasa with a good exit there, but not quite enough to get into the slipstream of Jaban. Pedro, what a gap he has at the front now.
Manakasa with a perfect turn 1. Maybe this is putting him into a position to fight on the back straight.
Maybe. Jaban made sure he wasn't in the slipstream by moving to the middle of the road down that previous straight. Manakasa a little bit out of shape. But he has to get close. It's another crucial corner coming up. Onto the back straight we go.
Jaban a little bit loose at the apex, and Manakasa should be in the slipstream, but he is too far behind. Oh, and Jaban using Frank's slipstream, who also seems to have a horrible race.
Yeah.
Jaban looked to cut the inside of turn number 8 there just a little bit, but Manakasa surgical with his precision. You can see just how he's closed up to the back of the number 3 car in second position, but again just suffering from the lack of front end grip, of course potentially caused by the Eyre drop.
Yeah, that was definitely Eyre drop, and yeah. I mean, these three are so far ahead of the road appraiser car of 6 behind that, yeah, that was potentially the wrong place for Manacasa to get close. But he's in the car, not me. He knows better. Let's see what he can do for the remainder of this race. We are over halfway through now. As Pedro starts lap 8.
Still plenty of time for Manacasa to get right on the back of Jaban there. Pedro, his lead has only increased about 1/10 of a second in the last lap and a half, as Master Race Cars Michael is just offline there in turn 2, of course, catering for the lap traffic to get past him. Manacasa, though, ended arguably less than Jaban was there into turn 2. You can see he's already trying to get right on the back of that number 3 car, and again carrying just a couple more kilometers through the left-hander of turn 4 there, just before the double left of 5 and 6 as we turn right into 7. You can see that gap's come down quite a bit.
Trespasser being overtaken there by Jari Katila into turn 1, and it's all got quite close as Trespasser catches some grass and runs even further wide, so that's another position lost for Trespasser. He was quite high up at the beginning of this race, but he's dropped down somewhat, and someone else who's dropped down was TC Racing's Adam, who makes his way past Mega for P17.
Manacasa now following Jaban through the fast corners in the final sector. He seems to be in a better position. If he can keep this very gap through the next 2 corners, he should be in for the attack. He can even close it up.
Jaban was slightly slower than Manacasa through the right-hander of turn number 13, and Manacasa again using all the curbs on the inside and outside to make the track as wide as possible, use all of the tarmac given to you. But again, I don't think he's close enough this time to make a move into turn number 1. The gap at the line, 0.3 of a second, so one of the closest splits we've had between these 2 cars. And again, Pedro, his lead has only increased by about 2/10 that lap.
Yeah, even though Jaban ran quite wide there, Jackie, he still managed to get a better exit than Manacasa.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Jaban running, well, it looked as though he was slightly late on the throttle, but again, he just seemed to match the speed of the man in 3rd, but no one can get as close to the speeds Manacasa's pulling through turns 4 and 5 now. Look at just how close he is, and of course, you can see how much more curb he took on the inside of turn number 7 there. It chucked him out to the outside, and again had to hesitate to get onto the throttle as to not grab the grass when getting back on the power. The gap again 0.4 at the middle of that back straight, running through turn 8, 9 and the right-hander of 10 now.
Yeah, Jaban a little bit out of shape there.
Something which is very obvious with Manacasa, he is really the faster one through the corners, just that it's sometimes too fast to make the corner with the aero drop.
Yeah, it might be that Jaban's running less wing, so that's how he can pull away on the straights as well. As TC Racing's Chris McElroy lets these 2 through.
So again, Manacasa needs to use his momentum in turn 13, which he seems to do every lap. Jaban just can't quite match the apex speed of the number 89 car, currently hunting him down. But again, not close enough this time. I assume the gap's going to be about 0.4 of a second at the line. It is 0.44 of a second, but that was a personal best from Manacasa last time around, a 1:39.40. Jaban again with a personal best of 1:39.28. So the man being hunted at the moment, you'd say, is the man in P2 at the front of this little battle here. He was the faster of the 2 last time around. What's going to happen on this lap, though? We're on lap 10 of 13, and of course Manacasa's time is running out. But we see Manacasa get close into turn 4. He needs to not take as much of the curb in the right-hander of turn 7 now, leading onto the back straight. Focus on the exit of the corner rather than the entry. And he has, I think he's done what he needed to this time.
This
he
is
can
close.
use the draft to aid him. Jaban moving to the right-hand side of the track, but again, there's still room. Manacasa chooses the left-hand side of the track and has the overlap done before the braking zone, but runs slightly wide, manages to keep it on the tarmac, doesn't touch the grass, and just basically parks it on the apex of turn 9 and move done and dusted. So Manacasa now up into P2. Team Rock Racing's Jaban down into P3. And what can Manacasa do now from P2? I'll tell you the gap to Pedro in just a second, of course. I don't think it's going to be Of course, there's not a long time left for Manacasa to close the gap to the lead, but I want to see exactly how much time he can take out of the race leader. The gap is currently 2.27 seconds, and he's pulled 0.95 of a second on Jaban in about 3 corners after that overtake, gents.
Yeah, Manacasa's been held up, you have to say, by Jaban, and yeah, now Pedro's going to be looking in his mirrors, but he crosses the line to start lap 11, which means there are 3 laps left for Manacasa to close that gap down. It's a tall order, and it might not be possible, but it's going to be a fun one to watch.
And of course, Manacasa only was unleashed at turn number 8 at the end of that long back straight there, and already in the remainder of the lap had made the time that he lost up and set the fastest lap of the race by just shy of 1/10 of a second. The Manacasa's personal best, a 139.19. The man in the lead, a 139.34. Manacasa, of course, would be the faster of the 2 driver on paper, but of course, difference on track and the lack of laps left means Manacasa has got his work cut out if he's going to get the lead of the race before the checkered flag drops. The gap is 2.3 seconds.
Yeah, he has been in this position last week in the second race, where he was fast enough, but the time ran up.
"24 cars remaining in this race. I'm sure those guys will be back to join us for race 2. But yeah, Western International reversed, claiming a few victims this evening. Lost 8 cars since the beginning of this 13-lap sprint race. Manacasa now with the fastest lap of the race. He's dropped Jaban a little bit, but with 2 laps remaining, it doesn't look... Oh, as Manacasa spins!
Dropped the car just on the outside of turn 13.
Oh, and he's clipped the Armco. That's a
Massive
disaster.
Damage to the front of that. You can see just how significant the nose damage is on that F08.
Yeah.
Jaban takes back P number 2, and I was just working out how faster Manacasa needed to be than our race leader for the remaining 2 laps to potentially get close enough to make a move before the start-finish line. He needed to be a second a lap faster for the remaining laps of the race, of course, lap 12 that we've just started, and the final lap after that. But Manacasa now is going to have to nurse that car back home. He's got 8 seconds to Rick Cardle in P5, so that's the maximum amount of time he can lose in the remainder of this race with that damage in order to keep a top 5 position.
Sick is about to take this podium away from Manacasa. Manacasa having to put on maybe 5 to 10 degrees of steering lock to the left in order to go in a straight line with that damage. So yeah, let's see if Sick can get the job done now.
It's brilliant though, because he seems to have instantly adapted to the lock change, of course, with the damage. He's still finding the limits of that car, and a great exit out of turn 7 means he's actually pulling away from the road appraiser driver, hunting him down currently in P number 4.
Yeah, that is huge damage, isn't it? I mean, yeah, liver speed does not simulate losing wheels or wings yet, in air quotes. But yeah, it is possible to drive cars, especially if you're lucky with the damage that you get. It does look like the rear right is the corner that's causing him the issue, though. Let's see. 1 lap and 3 corners to go for Manacasa to hold on to that podium from Sick. But yeah, Jaban now with the fastest lap. Promoted back to P2. I'm sure he's thankful of that, as Sick gets the run on him.
Just on the right hand side of Manacasa, who of course is nursing that car back. The majority of the damage there is superficial, but of course he's going to be feeling that in the corners. The steering wheel is not straight whatsoever, but of course he's seems to have adapted to that car and is still finding the limit of grip even with that tremendous amount of damage. It looks as though he will retain P number 4. Rick Cardle again about 6 or 7 seconds back down the road, and Manacasa only about 2 or 3 seconds off the actual leader's pace.
Yeah, Gabor's pretty close to Rick Cardle now. They've been relatively close all race, but let's see if Gabor can get past Rick Cardle on this final lap. It is the closest battle on the track, if you discount Sick and Manacasa, but I think that battle is over. Pedro is on the final lap, and we will keep our eyes on this battle. It's the one that's most likely to change. Gabor just needs a good exit from the corner onto the back straight, but he's too close in the corner, and yeah, a little bit of error loss there. He's running out of corners. So yeah, quite a lot of drivers who we expected to do quite well here really haven't. Trespasser, TC Racing's Adam Brown, really far down, and Adam even out of this race. But it looks like Pedro is going to take a very solid victory here in race number 1 as he rounds the final corner to complete the 13-lap race. Nicely done as he heads down to the finish line. Jaban will take P2. And it looks like Road Appraiser Sick will indeed take the final podium position if he can navigate the final corner. He can, and Maunakasa will have to settle for 4th, but he's lucky, isn't he? Because that could have been so much worse for Maunakasa.
Yep.
Rick Cardle comes across the line in P5, then it's Gabor. Then it's Born to Race Abe, followed by his teammates Scattle and Eyre. Yes Unite sneaks in there in P9, with Eyre in P10. Pekka Koivunen for World Class Lions crosses the line in P11. Then it's Team Up Racing Texas in P12. Jari Katila for World Class Lions in P13. Redbot in 14th for Race Green. Then it's Joni Katila, who started right at the back, climbed 17 positions to finish P15. Silverstone P16. Team Up Racing's Gavin Pete in P17, someone we would have expected at the front, I think, gents. Timu Soini, good effort there, P18. Yes Motorsports Trespasser had an issue full race and finishes in P19. Then it's Master Race Cars Mega in P20. Just waiting for a couple of cars to come round.
Yeah, the last car to come around is Master Race Cars Kick, who crosses the line in 21st position.
That leaves TC Racing's Almo in P22, Sabot for Road Appraiser in P23, and our final finisher, Master Race Cars Michael in P24. So I think Maunakasa finished where he started, did he not? Or did he start P3? I can't remember. But anyway, he started on the second row, finishes on the second row. But that's all going to change because Pedro will start the next race in P24. Maunakasa will start in P21. And it looks like Michael for Master Race Car will take the pole position for the reversed 13-lap race coming up very shortly. We'll take a quick break. Don't go anywhere.
hello and welcome back to simbroadcast.tv. Of course, we're covering TRR round 31, coming up race 2 at Westhill International Reverse. 5.8 kilometres, 3.6 miles. A reverse grid for good measure. So Michael starts on the front row with Road Appraiser's Sabat alongside, waiting for the lights to illuminate before we have race 2 underway. 1 red light, 2 red lights, 3 red lights, and we're away for race number 2. Michael with a decent start from pole position. Sabat already under pressure from TC Racing's Chris McElroy up into turn number 1 now. Chris on the outside just runs onto the grass. Michael and Sabat, I think there was some contact at the second apex at turn 2, but again we're almost 3 wide. Kevin Pete trying to look at the back of Master Race Car's Megas. We're almost 3 wide on the run down into turns 3 and 4 now.
I want to say this before it changes, but it's a Master Race Car 1-2 right now. Michael leads Mega.
Oh, Manukasa now falling down the order. He was involved.
Yeah, he's been tangled there with, was that Yarra Loco? Yes, it was Yarra Loco and Elmo now coming together as well. Yarra Loco coming back to this series after quite a long break. And yeah, it's not a great start to the race for him. But yeah, out front it looks like the MRC guys are breaking away a little bit from Kevin Pete. Oh, as we've got a spinner there, that's Mega into the wall.
Mega.
And that lets his teammate Kick pass, but he's going to drop down behind Trespasser, Yoni Katilla. And maybe
And Unite. Ooh.
Yeah, a bit of
Unite. World Class Line Soini caught up in there as well. The number 31 yellow machine.
Unite with huge rear right damage
P20.
now.
Kevin Pete though up to P number 2, so I know he's made at least 2 or 3 positions up on the opening lap. Just 0.8 of a second behind Michael for the race win as we round the final corner to complete lap 1 of race 2. Lap 1 of 13, of course. Same as last time.
Got all bunched up behind. Roni's up to P11 already, and yeah, after DNFing the last race, that's a pretty good start for him.
Yeah, he started in 27th position.
Yeah, he's currently under pressure.
Something's happened to Manukasa on this opening lap.
Jaban's got pied.
Jaban is off.
Sorry, Jack. Jaban nearly taking an escape road there, but yeah, that's bad for him.
Jaban, the man I was just talking about, Manukasa, as Jaban just joins behind the 89 car in P number 17. Again, Manukasa was about P15 before the last corner, but of course I think he ran on the grass, had an issue there, and lost a position to Rick Cardle on the back straight. Everyone biding the time through the slower corners and the initial stages of the lap. Manukasa right on the back of Rick Cardle there, just trying to get on the power out of turn number 7, but look at the slipstream effect. Manukasa already just about alongside of the number 66 Sidus car as we enter turn number 8. Manukasa again just so much confidence.
Yeah, Michael spun from the lead, giving the lead to Gavin Pede.
Yeah, Michael down to P7 now then. He's in that battle with the Born to Race drivers behind him. But
Jaban makes his way past Rick Cardle. There's contact between two, and Manukasa makes a mistake as well. It's all happening at turn 11. Manukasa now down in P22. Jaban also getting tangled with Rick Cardle, who's alongside Yes Motorsports United's Silverstone makes a mistake there in the background. There's a spinning car in between turns 12 and 13. It's all kicking off at the start of race number 2. A disaster for a few.
Trespasser with the fastest
and Yes
lap
Motorsport Unite again massively sideways on the at the last corner. He's got quite a bit of rear damage. His tyres will not be thanking him.
Yeah, he's in a strange situation, so he doesn't really have any suspension damage. However, the geometry of the car is so deformed that his tires are not perfectly lined up anymore. Manukasa DNFing.
So Yes Motorsports Trespasser, the number 72 machine, up into P number 2, and the Master Race car that inherited that spot earlier on in the race is down to P4 now as Yoni Katilla makes his way up into the podium positions for World Class Lions. Kevin Pete, though, out in the lead at the moment, has over a second and a half of a gap to P number 2, and I think he's just going to go ahead and extend that. Although it looks as though Trespasser is about half a second faster at least up into split number 2.
Oh, someone sideways. That's Kettle for Born to Race. Falling down the order now.
Yeah, he rejoins in P16, overtaken there by Yes Unite with that damaged car. Oh, and almost rear-ended there by Yaroloco. Luckily, no such incident. Kevin Pete crosses the line to start lap 4. Yes Motorsports Trespasser behind, then it's Yanni Catilla.
Yeah, yes,
Pekka Koivunen backwards
P2
on the home straight there. So more troubles out of the final corner for some drivers.
I was going to say Trespasser with the fastest lap of the race, but then Jaban all the way down as he makes a position up into P10 now as he's side by side with the Born to Race car on the way down into turn 3. He takes the fastest lap of the race, but again...
We lose Mega. Mega hit the wall under the bridge side by side with his teammate Kig, and he has to abort from the race. We're down to 22 drivers, and that's another world-class...
spin off.
Yeah, world-class line car sideways on the back straight. Lots of drivers who you wouldn't expect to be struggling with the power of the F08 struggling today. As we have a battle side by side, it's Jari Catilla. 3 wide now as Ronnie decides to send it up the inside, nearly on Gabor. Nope, Gabor maintains that position.
Yeah, great confidence from Gabor there to enter in the middle of the road into turn 8. Filter out to the outside of the track, of course, not on exactly where the racing line is, but to take the position as well. Moves up into 4th position.
Yeah, he hasn't managed to keep completely out of trouble. His front wing is looking quite bent.
Sick.
Yeah, the Road Appraiser driver who was in P7 just slightly wide out of turn 12. Jaban relieves him of his P7, and Jaban's right on the back of Jari Catilla now into turn 14. If Jari can't keep Jaban behind him, which I don't think he will be able to, of course, Jaban aided by the draft down the long straight.
Look at that overspeed.
Basically just driving into a vacuum. Massive speed advantage now as we approach turn number 1. Can he make the move on Ronnie into turn number 3 now? It's all about getting on the power from the second apex of the right-hander, and just look at the advantage that Jaban had from getting on that power early. He's already alongside Ronnie and on the inside line as well for turn number 3, but he's got the move made before the braking zone, able to resume back to normal racing line as Jari Catilla and Ronnie have a bit of contact there into turn 3 and 4. Positions stay roughly as they are, with the Born to Race driver relieving Jari Catilla of a position.
Well, the two Catillas are flip-flopping their positions, it seems.
Yeah, it's not often we see those two together, but Yanni Catilla leading his father down onto the chicane at the end of the back straight.
Rick Cardle is stationary in the gravel tip in turn 2.
Now, humour me, the last time we saw Rick Cardle stuck in a gravel trap, was that at Kyoto in an F08?
Ooh.
Thinking quite a long way back in the championship, it might have been a different car, but I'm pretty sure we've seen this sort of activity from Rick Cardle in the not so distant past. Anyway, let's leave him to that. He's down in last place now with 21 cars remaining, and it looks like Yanni Catilla's dropped back behind Ayub, Sick, Unite and Jari Catilla. So yet more troubles for Yanni Catilla. The gap between Trespasser and Gavin Pete is holding pretty steady right now, but these two are pulling away from Kig in third.
Yeah, Trespasser was the faster car, at least for the 2 of the 3 sectors of last lap. About 2 or 3 tenths advantage did the car in second place have, but Gavin Pete just seems to just carry a bit more speed in the final sector. Was able to close that gap, beat Trespasser's lap by about 2/100th of a second, as we've got a battle for third on at the moment. As the Yas Motorsports Trespassers teammate down in P4 trying to get himself up onto the podium, pulls out to the right into the braking zone, approaching turn number 8, has the move made. Brilliant racing from these two, leaving room for one another, but Jaban wants to get in on the action. Arguably the dark horse in this race, still holds the fastest lap, of course. He makes his way around the master race car number 54 on the inside now of turn 11. Has to check up ever so slightly at the apex of the corner. The car behind him does the same. They're looking not to run into each other there. It's very high speed, high load corner. So you can see Jaban's catching up to Gabor. The gap's 0.6 of a second, but watch how it will come down in these last remaining few corners of the lap. Jaban just seems to have a tremendous amount of confidence in the final sector of the car.
Sick with an incredible move, sorry to interrupt, around the outside of Unite there into the penultimate corner. Sorry, back to you, Jack.
Yeah, Jaban just catching up to the back of Gabor. Don't think he's close enough to make a move at the moment, but I'll keep an eye on this little battle. He absolutely sends it. What a move and a half there from Jaban. Can he get it slowed down for the second apex? Gabor looking for the undercut, a switchback, just not able to pull it off, not able to get on the power that early, but of course Gabor with the slipstream this time, weaving slightly as to scrub some speed up, doesn't want to make the move into turn number 3, not brave enough this time around, potentially knows that Jaban is the faster driver, and maybe battling will of course slow them both up.
So right now it looks like we've got a Team Up Racing, two Team Up Racing drivers in the podium positions, whereas last race we had 2 Road Appraiser drivers on the podium with Jaban in the mix as well. So
yeah, so the way the teams sit at the moment, Team Rock Racing, Yas Motorsport, Team Rock Racing, Yas Motorsport for the top 4 now. So Jaban's got about 4.5 seconds to the race lead, about 2.5 seconds to the car in front of him. Of course, he sits on the podium at the moment.
Roney there makes up to P5, and now Kig is under pressure from, that'll be Eyre for Born to Race. The Born to Race drivers seem to be sticking together pretty well this evening. But yeah, Kig just missing out there to Roney.
But you can see that Eyre's losing the grip again through the corner, following Kig.
And opens the door up for his teammate.
Ayub only 0.28 of a second behind his teammate. Again, if he can carry some speed through the final corner, potentially use that draft to his advantage, we might see a move between the two Born to Race drivers into turn 1 and 2 maybe, if not turn 3. Of course, if he gets the exit out of turn 2, there's a pretty long straight for him to attack further. Again, with a gap at the line, 0.3 of a second. As Eyre gets on the power a bit earlier than the Master Race car just ahead of him. They're side by side now heading into turn 3. The Born to Race car on the right hand side of the track, of course, has the inside line for turn number 3, but there's contact between the two. Not quite had the move made, and again Ayub right on the back of his teammate. The Master Race car's Kig bunched down into P10, losing out to Yari Katia and Yas Motorsports.
As Eyre runs onto the grass and gives up the position basically. Ayub promoted to P6, Eyre down, but Yoni Katila looking to end that as soon as it starts. Yari Katila, my mistake. Yari up to P7, looking to make it P6. Can't quite put it off there.
I think Yas Motorsports Trespassers made a mistake this lap because Jaban is right on the tail of the number 72 car now. This is the battle for P number 2. Trespassers' gap from the race leaders has increased by about a second from this time last lap. It looks as though Jaban's going to try and make the move into turn 13. Gets very close to the back of the white number 72 car and thinks better of it. Trespasser just knowing exactly where to place his car, but Jaban needs to account for the aero drop into turn number 14 now. Not run too wide. Again, missed the apex a little bit, had to lift. Takes a little bit of the grass, and again now slower. Of course, still has the draft, but nowhere near close enough to make a move this lap. So we're on lap 9 of 13 now. Not many to go. The gap to the lead from third position is about 3.4 seconds. So again, I don't think Jaban's going to have enough pace to get past Trespasser and potentially relieve Gavin Pete of the race lead before the checkered flag drops. 5 laps remaining. Jaban right on the back of Trespasser sticking to the left-hand side of the track. Plenty of room for Jaban to move to the inside, but again, they're going to enter turn 3 too wide. They bang wheels, and luckily Trespasser keeps the position. Great racing. Yes Motorsports Gabor filters through, and Jaban now down into 4th as again we're side by side as we run up into turn number 7, but of course Jaban needs to get the power down early. Trespasser runs wide, so Jaban now back up into P number 3 and potentially P number 2 at the end of the straight as Gabor again doesn't seem to want to close that inside door, but Jaban has the overlap done before the braking zone, can move over to the left hand side of the track now and takes turn 8, 9 and 10 as he normally would, and that's a Team Rock Racing 1-2, gents, so far.
Yeah. Followed by Yes Motorsports 3-4.
Yeah, unfortunately Mandula, Redbot and any other race green drivers not there to make Ronnie's day with a race green 5-6. But anyway, Ronnie currently sitting there in P5 in his beloved FO8, and Abe's lost his teammate as well. Eyre's joined in Scattle down on row 6 currently. P11 and 12 for those two.
Jaban's got to be over a second lap faster than Gavin Pete for every lap remaining in this race to even get up to the back of Gavin Pete, to even get an opportunity to make a move across the line. And Gavin Pete at the moment, last time around, a 41.24, Jaban a 42.05, so Gavin Pete extending that lead last time around. Of course, Jaban had a bit of contact into turn 3 last time around. It's not, of course, his true pace, but again, he needs to be significantly faster than his teammate to close that gap before the checkered flag drops. 4 laps remain.
Well, with Jaban now 4 seconds behind, you need to remember that, Frank's there by the wayside. You need to keep in mind that in clean air, Jaban is about 1 to 1.5 seconds a lap faster than what Gavin Pete could do on his own up in front.
Yeah, we'll certainly keep an eye on the gaps. Of course, it's come down to 3.67 as we cross the first split, which is in between turn 7 and 8, just before braking zone for turn number 8. And Frank spins just ahead. Not a great day for some Team Rock Racing drivers. His teammates, meanwhile, both sit on the podium.
Quite a number of casualties from race 1. In race 2, some of the big hitters that we've lost include Pedro, who won the previous race. It's a bit of a shame. And Maunakasa, who looked so strong at the beginning of this race, but is out now after dropping down the field quite early on. We ride on board with Team Rock Racing Jaban, who has had no such problems so far, as we head onto the final 3 laps of this race.
And I will say, at the end of Sector 2, Jaban had the gap down to just over 3 seconds. It could be exactly 3 or just under. It is just under 2.89, so Gavin Pete potentially under threat now as Jaban sets the fastest lap of the race, a 39.20. Gavin Pete last time around a 40.5, so Jaban about 1.35 seconds faster than his teammate. That's that last lap, and of course with 3 laps remaining, if Jaban can keep pulling this pace on his teammate, that gap will close up very soon. But of course, closing up to the back of your opposition is one thing, getting past and staying past is another. So Jaban, of course, with his work cut out as we close into the final stages of the race. We're on lap 11 of 13. I'll keep you posted on the gap between these two, of course. Split number 1 ends just where the bridge is roughly. The gap at the line was 2.89 seconds. It is now 2.06, so almost 0.8 of a second. Of course, Jaban has taken out of his teammate in Sector 1 alone. And of course, we've not got just the remainder of this lap. We've got 2 more. So Jaban again looking for a potential win if he can just keep it on the road.
Yeah, well, it's one thing to catch up around Westhill in an FO8, it's another to get past. Of course, there aren't all that many opportunities to get past without being affected too much by the error loss of the car ahead.
Oh, Trespasser lost it! Trespasser lost it. That puts Ronnie in 4th position, and he was catching up to the Yes Motorsports driver.
The Trespasser from P6 now struggling to rejoin the track on the outside of turn 12, all the way down in P10 now. Potentially going to lose out to the number 54 car of Kick there for Master Race Car. Down in P11 is Trespasser after that unfortunate mistake. But ladies and gentlemen, the gap between the leader and P2 is down to just over 1 second. 1.09 was the gap at the line, and Japan last time around a 39.10, exactly a tenth faster than his already fastest lap the lap prior. Kevin Peete still in the high 1 minute 40s. Japan almost 2 seconds faster than his teammate that last lap. Huge confidence as the number 3 Team Rock Racing driver in turn 2. As you can see just how much speed he carried more than his teammate there. And again, through turn 7, it's all about the exit. Kevin Peete arguably with the better exit. Earlier on, the power used more of the outside of the track to get traction away from the apex of the corner. Japan, of course, aided by the slipstream. Not enough for him to get too close to make a move, but I think if it's not going to be across the start-finish line, it'll be before that. Japan just looks like an absolute man on a mission. The gap 0.3 of a second. These two are going to be side by side before we reach the left-hander of turn number 11. So Japan moves to the left-hand side. The longer way around at the moment turns into the inside once we approach turn number 11. Has the move made. So Japan up into the lead now. Fantastic racing. We knew he could do it by the end based on time. He's done it with a lap and 3 corners spare.
Incredible stuff. Kevin Peete just not able to hold on, and Japan will, if he gets to the end, will have a double podium this race. And that gap's grown quite dramatically already. Next closest cars appear to be Ayub and Unite, but yeah, Unite's got such a lot of damage to the rear right of that car. I'm amazed he's even in contention for this place. But
yeah,
anyway.
well, he was faster than Ayub last time around by about 0.3 of a second. You can see he was a little tighter there through turn number 1 and 2. Ayub with the better exit. I think, of course, Yes Motorsports Unite was faster overall, at least in the first couple corners on lap 13. Can he get close enough to take the position away? This was a top 5. And Ayub just slightly out of shape through turn 4 and 5 as we approach turn 6 and the right-hander of 7 now. It's all about the exit again. Such a long straight separates turn 7 and 8. Unite struggling to get the power down, a bit tight, but of course that rear suspension geometry on his car will not do him any favours. You can see just from the onboard now his steering wheel is not perfectly straight in order to keep that car in a straight line. It's about 2 or 3 degrees to the right, so he's accounting for the potential damage that he's carrying, but locks the car, suffers a bit of understeer and oversteer at the same time through turn number 10, but moves to the inside through the kink before 11 on the outside, makes the move stick, didn't quite hit the apex and just uses the amount of curb that he's got at his disposal. But it looks like Team Rock Racing's Japan, the number 3 car, will take the checkered flag by about 3.5 seconds as he rounds the final corner for the final time here at Westhill International Reverse for round 31 of the Team Rock Racing Championship. Japan takes the checkered flag for race number 2. Closely followed by his teammate Kevin Peete. Looks like the Yes Motorsport drivers Gabor in P3. And it looks so Roni took away Unite's P number 4. Yes Motorsports Unite finishes P5. Ayub in P number 6. Gary Katila closely followed by his son Yoni Katia in P7 and 8 for World Class Lions. Born to Race Eyre in P number 9. Master Race Cars Kig in P10. Born to Race Scattle in P11. Yes Motorsports Trespasser, after unfortunately dropping the car from P6, finishes down in P12. World Class Lions Pekka Koivunen finishes in P number 13. Yara Loco in P14. World Class Lions Timu Soini in P15. TC Racing's Chris McElroy in P number 16. Sidus' Rick Cardle in P17. It looks as though Team Rock Racing's Frank will finish in P number 18.
Just waiting for one more car to come round. I think it's Redbot before race green.
Yeah, Redbot just hitting the apex of turn number 14 now. He's on his way to cross the line to finish P number 19. So 31 cars in qualifying. Was it 24 finishes in race number 1? 19 finishes in race number 2. Hopefully we get a chance to chat with some drivers after the race. We wrap up round number 31 of the Team Rock Racing Championship here from Westhill International Reverse.
By the way, you were correct. 24 finishes in the first race.
I was trying to think, but I grabbed a number. Luckily, it was right. Thanks, Thilo.
As we see the
Hey,
podium
you should
lined up.
tell on the stream.
Jaban in the middle. Gavin Pete to his left. And Gabor to his right.
So how would you sum up this round, gents? I would say qualifying was quite a spread of talent. Of course, the times were massively different from the sharp end to the not so sharp end. Race 1 was somewhat clean. Again, we saw our fair share of action. Race number 2 was as clean as it was going to be. Let's be honest, there was, again, the fair share of mistakes and crashes and whatnot. But of course, we were treated to some brilliant racing in the closing stages of the race, with Jaban taking the lead away from his teammate Gavin Pete in the dying stages. Ronnie misplacing the Yes Motorsport car to finish P number 4.
Yeah, race 1 may have been the slightly cleaner one, but during both races, one can see that maybe the level of preparation was not as high as this car actually requires. So from 32 competitors, only 24 finished race 1 and only 19 finished race 2, and these are sprint races for about 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, but
So
with
this-
a really healthy grid of 32 cars, it's nice to
Yeah,
see
definitely.
so many people getting involved, and we do expect these drop-offs, but yeah, there we go. If you enjoyed tonight, please feel free to follow us on Twitch and YouTube and all the good stuff. But you can join us next week at the same time and the same place for round 32 of the Team Up Racing 2020 Championship. That'll be from Aston Club Reversed in the XFR, so the return of the XFR to the TRR 2020 Championship. And I'll leave you with the voice of Thilo Falkenberg to give you a little bit of information about what's coming up this Sunday.
Yeah, this Sunday, live on simbroadcasts.tv, we see the season finale of the Open Endurance Cup. Open Endurance Cup 5 finishes with round 4 from Blackwood Historic Reversed. And the title is pretty much up for grabs. So we do have a battle in the NGTR class between the teams of Crew Scott and Akagi Red Suns. Basically, whoever finishes in front of the other wins the championship. Plus, there is also the overall championship up for grabs with some outside chances for Live for Speed Hungary, although from what I've heard, they might not be present at the race. But anyway, it's going to be a very interesting race and a very nail-biting season finale. And you can still get involved by going to the LFS forum, look for Open Endurance Cup, and then you find all the necessary information up there.
Thanks
Of
for that,
course,
Thilo.
as always, we have in our Twitch and YouTube descriptions a link to our calendar and our website. So if you want to know where we're live next time, you know where to click. Of course, next time we're live will be Sunday the 30th of August with Open Endurance Cup 5 round 4, as Thilo just stated. And after that, on Tuesday the 1st of September, next week, same time, Team Rock Racing Championship round number 32, of course, from Aston Club Reversed in the XFR. So quite a decent schedule coming up, at least for the next week. I hope to see you in our next broadcast. I'll let Pete sign us off.
Yeah, thanks very much. I'm taking a 2-week break. I leave you in the capable hands of Jack Eyre, Thilo Falkenberg, and the rest of the Sim Broadcasts team. So from me and everybody else here, thanks for watching, and good night.